Alhamdulillah, wassalamu ala rasulullah wa ala ashabihi wa ala. This is the second hour of this day. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer your questions. Before I continue my summary on this great book. Is there any question? I'll continue. Are you there?
Yes, Sheikh.
No questions. Okay, no problem. Sorry?
I do have a question, Sheikh. It's a
Yes.
follow-up to a question I asked previously, but I've got some further questions. About the issue of somebody who leads Salah in the office. And we talked about the socks, but apparently somebody said they saw that person just kind of do masa on their feet without the socks. So it appears, and again, I'm just going by what somebody else has said, it appears that they did not do like the complete foot, and they did not have the sock when they redid it. One is assuming that the person did do wudu in the beginning. Now this person is leading the salah. What should they do?
No, if he didn't wash his legs, that means his wudu it's not continued. It's not completed. And therefore, he can't lead the salah with people. And anyone who doesn't take care of...
So people should not. I mean, that's what's creating some friction. Is people say we will not pray behind him, but I feel it's important that they should probably just ask him directly.
Yeah, they have to ask him. Maybe they just accuse him and they don't... Because he can't know. Maybe he went washing his leg and they didn't see him washing it. So
and that's what I'm saying. Maybe they saw part of the thing, they didn't see the whole thing. Or maybe, what if his wudu is intact and he's just doing extra, like putting his hand over the feet again.
Exactly.
So I don't know. So in that situation, is it appropriate for people to go and just ask him directly? I mean, I think they should.
Yeah, they have to ask him if they have this confusion. If they don't have anything, they just expect that he did his wudu and that's it. They're not responsible to know what happened exactly.
So I mean, should I guess the question is, if you're in that situation, would you just expect that he did it and just follow, or would you go ahead and ask the person?
I won't have to follow him if he's a mature person and if he's a responsible person. Especially if he's an imam. That's it. If he's an imam, that's it. I don't have to ask him about that.
So just follow. They should just go ahead and pray behind him.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
وإياكم وإياكم. Okay, let's continue. Now, after finishing the second pillar of Islam, which is prayer, the book goes to the third pillar of Islam. Okay, the book doesn't speak about the first pillar of Islam, which is Shahadat la ilaha, because it doesn't deal with creed. This book, Bulugh al-Marām, and other books of fiqh, except some especially the Maliki books, they start with the book of creed, which is the first pillar of Islam. But lots of other books, that's not their responsibility, nor they are concerned about things that have to do with aqidah, with creed. So therefore, it starts with prayer. Okay, purification before that because it's part of prayer. So it starts with prayer, then fasting or charities. So this book goes to the third pillar of Islam, which is the book of charities, zakat. What are what is the wealth that you have to get from it a portion and give the needies. Who are these needies that you have to give them? And what is the amounts where your property reaches so that you are obliged to get from it a portion and give it to the needies? Okay? So all these actually, it starts with the charities that are supposed to be given from the flock. The flock? You say flock? The life flock. Life. How do you call them?
You can say flock, yeah, or you can say livestock.
Yeah, life flock. So we have three categories, which are the camels, the cows, and the rams. But when we speak about camels, it's all types of camels. The camels that have two humps, the camels that have only one hump, the camels that don't have any hump. And when you go to the cows, all types of cows. There's the buffaloes, the cows, these types of animals, the cows that are in India and in Egypt that have a hump. I don't know what do you call them. They call them in Arabic jawamis. So all these types of animals are dromedy cow. No, I'm not speaking about camels. I'm speaking about cows. And when we speak about rams, we're speaking about sheep and goats. Okay? So all these are all these are the animal, the flock that life flock that you get from them, that you give from them, the charities. How much? Okay, the book, the narrations give us all that. After that, the flock or livestock. Yeah, okay. And then it speaks about the charity that everyone has to give in the end of Ramadan after fasting. How much? What is he supposed to do? Who are the ones that he has to give? Who is he supposed to pay for? All these things are in this hadith, in these narrations here. Okay? And then it goes to normal charities, not regular charities, open charities, extra charities that you give. From that, it goes to speak about how to divide the charities. To whom are you supposed to give the charities? And how do you divide that? And there are many there are charities that are supposed to be given from gold, silver, and from crops. What are these crops? What are things that you're supposed to give from all this? You can find it in this chapter. Okay? After that, it goes to the fourth pillar of Islam, which is fasting. Fasting Ramadan. Not fasting, only fasting. It's fasting Ramadan. Okay? So here, when do we know? Okay, it starts with the virtues of fasting. And then it mentions how to know that the month came. How do we know that this is Ramadan or this is not Ramadan? So that's how, with sighting the moon, how many people are supposed to sight the moon? Who are these guys that have to sight the moon? And if the moon is seen in one country, does everybody have to fast, etc. How to fast? What is fasting? What are things that are forbidden in fasting? What are things that are permissible in fasting? All these types of things. All these are mentioned in this chapter. And after that, it speaks about the extra fasting. Extra fasting, and what are the days that we are asked to fast? What are the days that we are not asked to fast? What are the days that we which are forbidden to be fasted? And the days that are unpreferable to be fasted. And this is what this chapter speaks about. After that, in the end of Ramadan, there is al-i'tikaf. Al-i'tikaf is staying in the masjid the last 10 days of Ramadan. What is forbidden for the one who is in the i'tikaf? And when is it proper to go to i'tikaf and go out of i'tikaf? And what are the conditions of i'tikaf? All these types of things are mentioned in this chapter. It's not a long chapter. And by this chapter of i'tikaf, you finish the chapters of fasting. It's not a long chapter. After that, you go to the chapter of the fifth pillar of Islam, which is the pillar of Hajj, pilgrimage. Starts with the virtues of pilgrimage, and then is the obligation of pilgrimage, and what are the rulings of pilgrimage, how do you do with the pilgrimage, and it mentions a lot. What are the places that you start your ihram for? What are the pillars of pilgrimage? And what are the obligations of pilgrimage? How to do the ihram? What are the types of ihram? What are the types of ihram? And then how to start the Hajj from the beginning to the end. How to start Hajj from beginning to the end of it. Okay? It's a long chapter actually, because it takes all the narrations that have to do with Hajj. In the end, if you're prevented from going to Hajj, for example, you wore your ihram, you traveled, all of a sudden the plane stopped in some place that you can't go, the official affairs prevented you from entering the country, anything happened to you or you became so sick that you couldn't travel, how do you do when that happens? And that was the end of these chapters. So after that, after finishing the 5 pillars of Islam that took half of the book, you're going to start other chapters that are the remaining books. The remaining books, which are the family rulings and transactions and all things that have to do with civil laws. Civil laws, they call them. But for us, they are civil and divine. For the non-believers, there are only civil laws. And these laws, lots of people in the world benefit from us, even maybe without mentioning that. So they benefit from the Islamic law. So here he enters directly to the book of trading, where he starts with the conditions of any trading and things that are forbidden. What are things that are forbidden in trading? That's how he starts this chapter. Okay, so it has a lot of narrations there that give us lots of rulings, actually, of in trading, buying, selling. What are the transactions that are official, that are permissible? What are the transactions that are not permissible? And then it goes to a chapter that gives you the choice to buy or stop the transaction. So that's an important book too. Mentions the chapter of choice, and then it gives a chapter of usury, which is riba. Riba, is it usury? Riba, right?
Yeah, sure.
So it mentions what is usury, what are types of usury, what are the conditions of usury, and stuff like that, which is important, very important actually. This chapter, and of course, the books of fiqh go in details more than these books because these books just give you derive from the hadith and don't give you details. But the books of fiqh, of course, give you details and they go so deep in these types of things. Um, and then it gives you some exceptions in dealing with the crops. What are the types of crops that are permissible, and what are the transactions that have to do with that are forbidden, and what are these types of things? Yeah. Then it goes giving other types of transactions like borrowing, lending, like how do you call it? Mortgage, like mortgage. All these types of transactions that have to do with civil law. Have to do with civil law. Okay? Then it goes to a chapter called it's agreements that solve problems. You agree to not have your full rights. So you deal with others in dropping some of your rights so that you can solve a problem between both of you. So this is a chapter, it's a very important chapter as well. But most of the judges deal with these types of law, these types of problems, because the judge doesn't have anything to do with all of the rulings that have to do with worship, prayer, the five pillars of Islam. Those go to the mufti. The mufti can speak about that. He can tell you what is wrong, what is right about your worship. He can even give you all fatwas about transactions and even anything that has to do with your family rulings, but the judge doesn't have anything to do, because what's the difference between judge and mufti? The mufti gives you the ruling, but he doesn't force you. He doesn't have policemen with him. He doesn't give you any statement that obliges you to do so and so or to stop doing so and so. But the judge has policemen with him, and he gives the ruling and he implements it. So he has policemen to implement it. So, and it's a specific ruling, not a general ruling. So we have a teacher, sheikh, that teaches. We have a mufti that gives answers about statements, and we have a judge that gives a statement and forces you to implement it. Okay, these are three types of scholars. All of them have to be scholars, of course, because they have to be knowledgeable in what they're speaking about. Okay, so the judge here, deals with all these things that have to do with civil and family laws. Then it goes to transactions that you send money to others in another place. How to do. You deal transactions that have to do with taking care or taking responsibility of some other's property and taking care of others' property and stuff like that. And then it goes to partnership and types of partnership, and when you take responsibility of somebody's property or all these types of things like that. All these are, and then it speaks about borrowing things, and it speaks about when somebody steals somebody's properties or forces him to take his property. So he doesn't steal it, but he forces him by using the law, by using his authorities, by all types of things like that. So all of the rulings that have to do with this. Then it speaks about when you are both partners and your partner sells part of his property, so you have the right to buy it before anybody else when you know that he's selling it. That's called shufa. And then he speaks about other types of transactions and partnership, which is when you have money and he has and he's an expert, so he uses his experts and his knowledge to sell and buy and do, and you use your money, so both of us are partners, but you are with your money and I'm with my knowledge. That's called al-mudaraba or al-qirad. And it goes and it appears in other things, like you have a garden and I know how to deal with it, so I take care of the garden and stuff like that. All these times you have this musaqat and all these types of things. Al-muzara'a, wal-mugharasa, wal-musaqat, all these types of chapters. But he mentioned chapter Bab al-Musaqat wal-Ijara. Al-Ijara is when you rent somebody's garden and take care of it. You just pay him and you take care of everything. Or you have a partnership with him. You tell him you're gonna give me the seeds and stuff like that, and I'm gonna take care of the trees. All these types of things that people do. After that, it speaks about when you resurrect something dead. You found a piece of land, doesn't have any owner, so you take care of it and then you make it alive. You put on it, you plant trees and you make a lot of things. Are you allowed to take that piece of land as long as no one is responsible for it? So it mentions all the rulings of that. And then it speaks about chapter of uh, bisquith. Is that right? Bisquith. When you make a piece of land or a house or anything for some people and you say this is for them forever. Anybody can benefit from that, or specific people, either scholars, either children, orphans, stuff like that. It's called bisquith, waqf. Waqf.
The fi'l is bequeath, but the ism is endowment.
Endowments. How do you call it? How do you call it? Bisquith?
Bequeath.
Equith.
I'll type it in the chat.
Yeah.
It's an
Bequeath.
old word.
It's an old word, yeah, right? It's not used anymore, right? Bequeath.
Some people use it, but not only in academic books or something like that.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
in everything like
But
that.
nowadays what people say? What do people say?
They would just say give or donate, most likely.
But it's not a normal donation. It's something that you donate. Uh, actually, it's not. It's not donation. Is a wider word. This is
Yeah.
you put a house and it's always for so and so, or a transaction and you say half of it. It's always for so and so. Something like that.
In English, there's no verb for that, but the noun is endowment.
Endowments. Okay.
Yeah, you can have a public endowment or a private endowment. A waqf.
Yeah, barakallahu fik. Yeah, endowments. And then it speaks about gifts, how to do gifts, how to give gifts to your children, to your. What are the gifts? When our gifts are considered as, when are they considered as a gift that you can't take back again? And it speaks about things that you find and you don't know who is its owner. It's called luqata. So it goes there mentioning what are types of luqata or. After that, it speaks about uh, death rulings of inheritance, and willings. The willing has al-wasiya has another name in English too. The willing, bequeath, it has another name. Al-wasiya, it has an English
Just a will.
a will, but
Inheritance.
huh?
You're talking about the mirath, the wasi of the mirath.
Yes, when you say that this has to be, yeah.
That's inheritance or will.
Yeah, it's no inheritance is it's mirath, but al-wasiyya is more than mirath. You have the right to, huh?
No, I think her.
एक और croissant ले लें एक और please एक अच्छा होता है एक मैं डाल रही नहीं आप नहीं डाल muted मम्मा croissant आपके लिए खास आया है ना मैंने डाल दिया है उसमें अंडा खाएंगी या चीज
Okay, now
ये बता दें बस नहीं बस बता दें क्या खाएंगे
Dr. Farzana, your mic is on.
sorry
I thought they were speaking about the. Okay, well they translate it to will. That's it. Maybe there was a no. I remember there was a word biscuith. Doesn't it's not that isn't that? I read it in a translation, English translation. Okay, no problem. Testimony, capacity, last will and statements, admonition. That's
so
how.
is it the testament last will and testament
Yeah. Yeah, last will and testament, yeah. This is what we're speaking about. Anyway, we spoke about all these types of things. Okay. The last will and testaments. So that's the last chapter of this, and then the last thing here is when you give somebody a trustee. Yeah, a trustee. After that, he enters to chapter of marriage. All what has to do with marriage. What is marriage? How do marriage happens? What are the conditions of marriage? Very important. What are the conditions of marriage? Who are the ones that the woman is allowed to be married to? Do we have to have equality in marriage? How to deal with women? How to live with them? All these conditions and all these types of things. All this has to do. And then it has the chapter of the dowry. The dowry. What is the dowry? How much has it to be? Does it have to be? And all these types of things. And the party, when you get married, the party, the wedding party, right? Wedding party. So the wedding party and stuff like that. All these things are mentioned in this chapter. I'm just reminding you with things that we took before. All these things we passed on them. And how, if you have more than one wife, how do you divide your time, your property with them, on all these types of things? It's a long story, actually. And after marriage, there's a chapter of what is divorce. So he starts here with the chapter of khula'. Khula means if the woman hates the man and she wants to get rid of him, what to do? So she gets rid of him. And after that, it goes to the chapter of divorce. Narrations that have to do with divorce. What are the words? How to get divorced? All these types of things. And after divorce, it mentions some types that people think it's divorce or it leads to get divorced. Like somebody who swears to not approach his wife, it's called ila. Or who says to his wife that your back is like my mom's back, that's dhihar. And what is the penalty of these two things? What are the penalty of these two things? After that, if somebody accuses his wife that she fornicated or she commit adultery with so and so. This is li'an. He has to swear 3 times, and the end say that I swear that she did and didn't. And if I was lying on her, the wrath of Allah is on him. He says that. And if she agrees or she stays silent, she's supposed to be stoned to death. But if she says that 4 times the same, she says that she swears that she's innocent, and in the fourth time she says if what he says is true, the anger of God is on her. This is called li'an. This is called li'an. So he mentions this. By the way, I will ask in the exam. I will just open the book and say, "Hey, what does this mean? What does dhihar mean? What does anything like that?" So you have to know even the Arabic words, because these are very important. They are technical words. Babul iddati wal ihdad, for example. What is idda? Ihdad is the timing that if a woman gets divorced or her husband passes away, how many time that she have to stay waiting until she goes out of this post, and what are the things that she's allowed to do, what are things that she's not allowed to do. So this is very important. And after that, it speaks about breastfeeding. What is breastfeeding? Who are the ones that become brothers and sisters from breastfeeding, and all has to do with this. And in the end, it speaks about payments. Who are the ones that you have to pay on? How are you supposed to pay? Who, and all this. What is the responsibility of the man in payments? Now, if the husband divorces the wife, where do the children go? Who is responsible for them? And all these types of things. And if the parents pass away, who's going to take care of the children? This is called al-hadana. And all this has to do, After that, when the family's chapters finish, or family's rulings, when he finished the family's rulings, he spoke about the punishments. The punishments, this chapter is very important, where he speaks about types of crimes and their punishments. And there's a chapter after that speaks about the blood payments. If you cut a part of somebody's body, or you kill somebody, what are the money that you have to pay for that? So this chapter is called the Diyats, Babu Diyats. After that, if somebody accuses somebody, if we found somebody dead between or in a tribe that we know that he has enemies there, but we don't know exactly who's the one who killed him. So this is called al-qasama. And this is where 50 people swear that they accuse so-and-so to kill their son. So in this case, he can take him and kill him. There are conditions there are rulings there. That's what this chapter speaks about. And if a bunch of people rebel against the legitimate regime, and he fights against them, is he supposed to do that? Okay? Okay? And if somebody apostatizes from Islam, what does the governor or the president have to do with them. And then there are other punishments, like punishments that refer to fornication, adultery, uh, accusing people to commit adultery or anything that has to do with sexual crimes, punishments of stealing and robbing, punishments of drinking intoxicating beverages, punishments that have to do with any type of crimes that are not that don't have a fixed punishments. So all these types have an answer. After finishing this chapter, he speaks about jihad in the sake of Allah. What is jihad? What are the rulings of jihad? Who is the one that is responsible to do jihad? Who are the ones that are supposed to be killed, that are not allowed to be killed, and all that have to do with this. So this is the chapter, and it's a bit long. And then, what are the payments that you have to give, and who's supposed to stop the battling? Who is the one who has to be, all these things. And then, in the end of this chapter, some scholars put it there, some scholars put it somewhere else. So it's a type of the chapter of racing, and what are things that you're allowed to race and give gifts in it. This is very important. And in the end, it gives the chapter of eating. What are permissible? What are things that you're allowed to eat? You're not allowed to eat. What are the games that you're allowed to game? That means hunting, slaughtering. All these types of things are very important. Then it speaks about the sacrifices. The sacrifice that you give when you have the seventh day of birth of a child, of your children, swears and oaths, But then judgments, how to judge, what to do in the judgments, how is the testimony, how to testify, how to give acquisitions and all things that have to do with that. In the end, emancipating slaves and stuff like that. It speaks about that types of slaves, and then in the end, the book gives a general chapter that speaks about morals and manners and all these things that have to do with this. By this, the book is finished, and I gave you a small or a general idea about the whole book in these 2 hours, alhamdulillah. If you have any question, I'll bequeathed. Yeah, that's it, bequeathed. Bequeath. Exactly.
Sheikh, do we have any idea when all the recordings might be available so we kind of know?
I'll go back. I'll go back to Nu'man and ask him again, inshallah, because he said he's going to work on them, and if he puts, he's working on them. Yeah, he says he's working on them. He was messaging me about it. Okay, Mumtaz, that's fine. So inshallah, when he finishes everything, I don't know how many videos are there. But by the way, I just remember right now that there's the video that we gave last time in the car. I have to repeat it again because we didn't find anybody to record it for us. So I'm going to record it again. It's 1 hour, inshallah. Right? Which was the last lesson. Okay?
Yes, Sheikh.
Okay, can we stop here or you still have anything? Shall we stop here?
Yes, Sheikh.
Okay, thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.